Hello, friends. Happy Tuesday. It's time for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. This is Lena Gersa. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Cambridge, Ontario, Canada, where it is still frigid and cold and snowy and gross. And today I am all about the tropics. I'm about palm trees and sunny, sun reflecting on water and warm pastel colors. I am talking about the Beach Boardwalk Suite from the Stampin' Up! 2026 January to April mini catalog. Now, if you are in North America or, well, even Europe, you're probably in the midst. Let's say if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, let's put it that way. You are probably in the midst of winter. And I got to say, this has been an exceptionally miserable winter around here. So I am pretty much done with winter. I am quite ready for spring and soft colors and warm temperatures. We can't afford to do a beach getaway this winter, so I'm just kind of channeling warm warm temperatures and palm trees through the Beach Boardwalk Suite. So I'm going to share 3 projects with you today. Well, I'm going to make 3 projects with you. I'm going to share a bunch more at the end. I'm also going to show you the suite, the fun DSP and the bundle and some cute embellishments, and then we'll get to some stamping. So if you are joining me, whether you are watching me live or on the replay, let me know. Give me a comment. Just let me know where you're watching from. And you can let me know how you're feeling about this winter. If you're in the Southern Hemisphere, you're probably nearing late summer, I guess, there. So you don't know anything about what we're talking about up here up north, but it's been a really, really crummy winter. So let me switch to my desk and I'll show you the products and then we'll get to it. All right, so here we go. The Beach Boardwalk Suite. It is not a huge suite. We've got some DSP, some cute embellishments, and a bundle. So it's on the smaller side as Stampin' Up! Suites go. The price here in Canada, I think, is like 88 something, which is pretty reasonable for a product suite. And again, you get that cross coordination, right? Easy to put together products because of all the way everything works together. So let me start with the bundle. We've got the Boardwalk Fun Bundle. Some fun images like palm trees. Honestly, who doesn't love a palm tree? I don't know. I don't know anybody who doesn't love a palm tree. And then a fun roller coaster image. I can honestly say I don't think we've ever had a roller coaster image. I think this is the very first one in the time that I've been I've been affiliated with Stampin' Up, which is probably going on 18 years. So really fun. And the dies, actually, where are my dies? There are some dies. I just realized I'm missing the dies that cut out the little roller coaster cars. I hope I didn't lose them. There is a little die that does cut out those little cars for the roller coaster, and I just realized that I don't have it here. So that's worrisome. I'm going to have to go through my trash can. So we have dies that coordinate and will cut out the little cars. So if you wanted to, for example, stamp the track in one color and then have the cars in a different color, you can die cut and just adhere them over top of the stamped image. Okay. Some fun sentiments. I love these fonts. They're very, very tropical and warm. And then, of course, we've got our dies. I love this ticket die. It coordinates with the DSP, but also it's great for just creating sentiment labels. I love this Ferris wheel. Again, I can't remember whether we've ever carried a Ferris wheel die or image before. So we've got the Ferris wheel, and then this little one cuts out the cars for the Ferris wheel. We've got some, I don't know, diamonds or sparkles, and then we've got some fireworks. We've got a little marquee arrow, and then, of course, some dies to cut out our palm trees. Now, I should mention, these dies do not coordinate with the stamps. These are standalone dies, okay? All right, so that is the bundle. And then, of course, we have our fabulous DSP. So as I mentioned, the ticket die cuts out many of the ticket images on the DSP. So the ones that have the little scoop out coordinate with that die. The arrow die will cut out these sort of marquee arrows. But if you use it to cut this, it'll cut the shape, but it'll also cut holes in it, just like these. Okay, so you can cut them out. Just know it's not going to be a solid arrow. Okay, these are really easy to fussy cut. So that's what I would suggest for those ones. And then, of course, we've got this piece, which is great for fussy cutting. Some carousels. I think I posted a card today using one of the carousel images for a birthday card. Some balloons, lots of palm trees, little tickets, cotton candy carts. What more could you ask for? We've got this fun ombre sun pattern. We've got the palm tree. So again, cut these into 6 and there are your card fronts. We've got light reflecting on water. Like, can't you just close your eyes and imagine sitting by a pool and, you hear the steel drums in the distance and the light is just reflecting off the pool water. That's as close as I'm going to get to a pool this winter is all I can say. Our last one is this fun palm tree pattern, very reminiscent of a Hawaiian shirt. And then, of course, on the back side, we have more subdued images. So this is an ombre. We've got this fun. So there's 2 similar patterns. This one's kind of in the oranges, and then this one is kind of in the pinks and purples. Very similar. They look like clouds, but make great backgrounds. And then we have 2 similar patterns again. I think these look like sort of bouquet light strings, right? If you were to string lights and then blur them a little bit, that's what they look like to me. So we've got one that's in the pool party and then one that's an ombre. And then we have this beautiful ombre. This just looks yummy. I love this pattern. It's so warm. So that is the fabulous DSP. And then we've got some fun stickers. So these are puffy stickers. You're going to see me using these on projects today. So I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about them. But you will see that there are lots of images that coordinate with the DSP, smaller scale. So there's a smaller scale carousel. I use actually one of these on the inside of the carousel card that I posted today. So really great. And they're squishy. So they go through the mail really easily. Okay. All right. Let me just see who's joining before we get to stamping and say hello. We got Mia and Lauren. Hi, Charlie. Sonia, welcome. Hi. Oh, it's warm in Colorado. Okay. You're giving me hope, Charlie. Send it this way. Hi, Linda and Cindy and Dennis. Welcome. Terry, welcome. Hi, Susan and Krista. Alexina, welcome. Hi, Cheryl. Hello, Colleen out in PI. Yes, I hate this winter too, Cheryl. I hate it for our little furry feline friends too. They have been struggling with the colds. All right. Cold and snowy on the island. All right. Okay. Hi, Leetta. Welcome. Okay. We got lots of people joining us. Hi, Heather and Deb. Welcome. Hi, Judy up in Wawa. All right, so we're going to make a quick card. I always like to start with a quick and easy one. This is all DSP, and then a couple of die cuts. Super quick and easy, but I wanted to show you an easy way to use those panels of palm trees from the DSP. So we're going to start with a 4 1/4 by 11 inch piece of basic black cardstock. I've scored it in the middle at 5 1/2. So we'll go ahead and crisp up that folds. And then I have 2 different patterns from the DSP pack. I've got this sort of ombre sunny pattern. It's got that sort of cloud pattern on the back. And then I have my palm tree. So this one is 4 by 5 inches. And we're going to glue this on kind of cockeyed on our basic black background. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue kind of towards the middle because my edges and corners are going to overhang. We're going to trim them off. So I don't want a sticky mess when I go to trim. So we're just going to put that on kind of cockeyed. Now, if you are someone who does not like crooked things, you may want to do this straight, but I like that look in the background. It's just a little different. So you know that I like to layer. And sometimes it's fun to do your layers in a way that is not symmetrical. So I'm just taking and trimming off the corners that were overhanging from that piece that I just glued down. I'm just using the edge of my card base as a guide with my snips. Easy peasy. And there we go. There is our fun sort of cockeyed card front. Then I have my palm tree panel. So this is 3 3/4 by 5. And we are going to glue this on straight. Okay. Now, the good news is because this is cockeyed, if this is not perfectly straight, it's not going to matter. Nobody's going to be able to tell. All right. But we are going to attempt to glue this on as straight as we can. So again, a little bit of glue, maybe a little more, a big empty gap there. And we'll pop this on. So I'm really paying attention to that outer border of the card base. I'm trying not to look at that cockeyed panel in the background. Okay, so we'll give that a good burnish. And then we have just a couple more little bits. I told you this was a really quick and easy one. So this is a 1 by 3 3/4 inch piece of that same sun pattern. This is going to get glued straight across our palm tree panel. Now, this is a different section of that piece, right? This little palm tree is going to get lost. There's nothing I can do about that. If I put it down here, it's going to be too low. So we're going to lose one of our palms. That's all right. The world will not end. Okay, so we're going to glue that on right across that panel. So I don't know, it's about 1/2 inch or so up from the bottom of that palm tree panel. And again, I'm trying to get it straight, but it's very tricky. This background one being cockeyed really does throw your eye off. All right. Now I have a little arrow that I fussy cut from the DSP, and we are going to stamp Hey Sunshine in Memento black ink. So we'll ink this up. And I'm just going to stamp this right directly on my little DSP arrow there. This is a new Memento pad. It is super juicy. And then I've die cut 2 of the palm trees from some black cardstock. We're going to go ahead and glue those to the back of our little arrow here so that they're peeking up above. So come here, you guys. We'll go 1. And oh my goodness, my fingers. I cut my nails all off because they were all cracking and breaking because they're so dry. And now I'm having a hard time crafting because they're my best crafting tool. I use them all the time to pick things up. I'm going to readjust this guy so that he's a little bit straighter coming in across. Let's see if we can get this. There we go. That's better. All right, I'm going to add a couple of dimensional to the back of my little arrow here, and then a couple to the back of my palm trees. I'm going to use black dimensionals on my palm trees, just, well, because I have them and because I can. And that way, if I see them peeking out a little bit, it's not going to be super obvious. And then we'll add a couple more just regular dimensionals to our arrow. Get rid of our backings. And we'll pop this on to our card front right about there. Okay, and then I added just one little puppy sticker. It's a little fun pattern sticker. So here we go, this little guy here. So our arrow is pointing to the sun, just like that. Now on the inside, we're going to stamp the inside just because I happen to have a basic white panel right here. We're going to stamp Happy Birthday. Now this would also make a fantastic retirement card. You could put Happy Retirement in there. That would be awesome. But since I have a birthday stamp handy, we're going to stamp Happy Birthday. So we'll just stamp that. This is a 4 by 5 1/4 inch piece of white. We'll stamp Happy Birthday, and then we're going to stamp this little, I don't know, diamond star, retro star, and we're going to stamp that in just some Daffodil Delight right over top of our Happy Birthday. And then that is going to get glued inside our card, and we are done. Quick and easy to start. DSP does all the work on this one. So we'll just pop that in there. I always like to close and burnish from the back. And there we go. Done and done. All right, so moving on. Okay. Let's go here. All right, the next card we're going to do is this one. So this is a little bit more stepped up, a little bit more involved. This was actually one of the projects from my card buffet that I did last week. And I thought it would be fun to share it with all of you. If you were at my card buffet, you may or may not have made this one. That's the beauty of a card buffet. You get to pick and choose the projects that you want to create. So let me show you how to do this one. we're going to start with a 4 by 5¼ inch piece of this sort of orange based, sort of cloudy wash DSP. And I'm going to come in with my Hey Sunshine stamp once again, but this time I'm going to stamp in Pool Party. And I'm just going to kind of randomly stamp all over. I'm not going to worry too much about the bottom, but I'm going to stamp kind of randomly all over this piece. And I'm trying to do them fairly straight. It may not be. I'm going to do some stamped off. I'm not even going to see that one. There we go. Okay, super quick and easy. And then we're going to come in with the palm tree stamps. Now, there are 3 palm trees in the stamp set. When I'm using all 3 of them, I like to mount them all together on a block. It makes it quick and easy to stamp them as a set. So I'm just taking some basic gray ink and inking up all 3 at once. And then that is going to get stamped sort of towards the, I don't know, upper third of our panel here, just like that. Okay, they look like they're floating right now, but don't worry. We're going to bring them back down to earth. And then what I'm going to do is first I'm going to take a sip of water. And then I'm going to take and tear along this bottom edge. So I don't want to take too much off. I'm kind of tearing, I don't know, about 1/4 inch. And I'm tearing towards me because I want to see that sort of white edge from where I've torn. Okay. Then I'm going to come in with, this is a 2 by 4" piece of that sunshine patterned DSP. And again, I'm going to tear a little bit along that bottom edge. Okay, so I've got white and white, and then this is going to get glued, and suddenly our palm trees are going to be grounded. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and layer that just with a little bit of glue. Right across there, and we're going to see both those raw torn edges at the bottom. And then that is going to get glued to a Pool Party card base, same dimensions as the last card, 4¼ by 11, scored at 5½. So we'll fold that in half along our score line. And then we're going to adhere. Oh, look at that. Sun shining water. I have friends that just came back from being away down south for a month. And they came back to a foot of snow in their driveway and really gross cold weather. Little bit of a rude awakening this morning for sure. All right, so we are going to burnish that and set that aside so we can work on our focal image. So I've got lots of little bits here. I have gone ahead and stamped and heat embossed in white the happy birthday on some Pool Party cardstock, and then fussy cut a ticket. So that is going to be my sentiment. Sorry, I'm just adjusting here. Okay. And then I wanted to do a little arrangement with tickets. So I could have done it this way, but I felt like this was too sharp an angle. I wanted to angle my ticket a little bit more, but you see how I kind of lose most of it when I rotate it. So what we're going to do is cut our ticket in half. I'm going to add some seal to the back of my embossed ticket. And we're going to go there. And then a little bit more seal here. I'm going to leave just about a quarter inch gap between the 2 halves at the back. And that way I can see more of my ticket. Okay, so it's just like a little cheater way to elongate that ticket. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same thing with this little arrow die cut. So I'm going to cut it in half. I'm going to add a little bit of seal on each end. I kind of want it peeking out these little cutouts. So I'm going to do my pointy end first. Okay, and then on the other end, I'm going to do the straight edge like that. Okay, and then we have some little die cut palm trees. So these ones are cut, as is the arrow, from the new pastel shimmer paper. This is an online exclusive. It's bubble bath, so you get 3 colors. You get Pool Party, Lemon Lolly and Bubble Bath, and it's just so pretty and shimmery. It just adds a lovely little hint of shimmer. So we're going to kind of tuck this little guy, this little tree, in behind our blue label. And I don't even really need to use much glue to hold that. And then I'm going to add my taller tree. And finally, with a little bit more seal, my pink tree behind. So again, just doing a little arranging. I want to bring my pink tree kind of forward a little bit, and this guy needs to be a little bit shorter. There we go. That's better. And you know what? I think I'm going to cut this guy off a little bit. He's a little too tall. I'll tuck him in there. There we go. Perfect. All right. And then the last touch is to add some ribbon. So whenever I'm doing these sort of focal arrangements, I like to vary texture as well as shape. So you can add texture by using embossed cardstock. You can use twine, you could use ribbon. In this case, I'm going to use some ribbon. So I kind of want it to be looped out this way. So I'm going to start my first loop, my tail this way, and then I'm going to flip it over, and that's going to help me know which direction I want my loops to go. So I'm just going to come and basically make figure eights with my ribbon. Keeping in mind, I got to make sure my loops are big enough that I can see them over the edge of my die cut pieces here. And I also want to make sure I'm pressing it into the seal that I put all over the back of this to make sure that it's visible, or it holds in one place. All right, so that should be good. There are my little loopies. Okay, and then that whole thing is going to get glued onto our card front. So the nice thing about doing it, your arrangement this way, is that you're not committed by sticking things onto your card. You can still rearrange and pull apart without damaging your card front until you're happy with it. And that's, I think, one of the main reasons I like doing it this way, so that I can get it exactly the way I want it before adhering it to my card. So I'm getting rid of all my backings here. And we're going to pop this on, again, overlapping the stamped palm trees in behind. Right about there. I think that's relatively straight. Okay. And then we're going to add a little bit of bling. So we'll just, I've got some, what are these? Pearlized faceted circles. Just for a little bit of sparkle. These are kind of an iridescent, so they work with this color palette. A little bit of pink, a little bit of the blue in there. So we get a little bit of everything. All right, there you go. Now I'll quick show you what I did on this one for the inside. I stamped my palm trees again, and then just stamped the Celebrate sentiment from the stamp set. Okay. All right. So let's get those out of the way and move on to number 3. Number 3 is a fun fold, a really simple fun fold. We're going with simple today. Sometimes I do really complicated stuff. Sometimes I like to keep it easy. This is an easy fun fold. It's a simple little center easel card. So it folds flat like this. Well, let's make sure we're in the frame here. And then this little center panel slides up, and there are a couple of our puffy stickers there to catch it. And it stands just like that. Okay, super cute. And it's popping because I keep moving it, but there you go. That's how we do it, how it stands up. So I'm going to show you how to do this. You've probably done one like this before if you have been stamping for any time, but it is a really good, accessible, kind of beginner fun fold. So I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm actually going to have the bottom ruler showing down here. Okay. So this piece is 5.5 by 8.5. I've scored it already at 4 1/4. So it's just like a regular card base. Okay. And then I'm going to put it in, and I'm looking at my right hand ruler. I'm going to align this right side with my 1 1/4 inch mark on my right hand ruler here. And I'm going to cut from the bottom up to that score line. So we're going up to the score line. Oh, it needs to go a little bit further. And the beauty of doing it this way is you can go and cut a little further. Okay. And then I'm going to slide my left side over to the 1 1/4 mark on the left ruler. And again, I'm going to cut up to that score line. Okay, easy peasy. So I've got these 3 little flaps. And then the last bit to create our easel, we are going to score this panel horizontally halfway. So this is a 4 1/4. So we're going to score it 2 1/8. So again, now there's a couple ways you can do this. You can fold this in half. In fact, I'm going to do this because it makes it a little bit easier to see what I'm scoring. So I'm going to go ahead and fold my card base in half. All of those little flaps. You do want to take a minute to get them all lined up and make sure that everything is going to sit properly. Okay, and then I'm going to just pick out that middle section. Bring back my trimmer. And I'm going to put this middle one in to 2 1/8. So I'm lining up that left edge at 2 1/8. I'm going to get my cutting blade out of the way and bring down my scoring blade. And I'm going to score just that middle section at 2 1/8. Okay. So by doing it that way, you get these guys out of the way. So if you maybe overshoot a little bit, you don't end up accidentally scoring these little panels. You can get them right out of the way. Okay. That is all there is to it. It's pretty straightforward. So again, I'm going to burnish my folds. I'm going to fold my little center, that little 2 1/8 score line inwards to make a mountain. That's going to be our easel. Okay. And then the first thing I'm going to do is glue these little flaps down. We don't need them flopping away and getting in the way. So a little bit of glue. We'll fold that over and stick it down. So there's one. And then same thing on the other side. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to add a little bit of DSP. So I've got 2 strips of DSP here. This is that sort of bouquet string lights. These are 1 1/8 by 4 1/8. So they are going to fit quite nicely on those little panels. So we'll go ahead and adhere those. Narrow little bitty border. So there's 1. And 2. Okay. And then for our center panel, again, I'm going to flip this out of the way. We have 2 pieces that are 2 7/8. This panel is 3 inches wide. So these are 2 7/8 by 2. Okay. So they're going to get glued like that. However, we are first going to stamp our roller coaster image on this bottom piece. So I'm going to bring in my roller coaster. It's a big stamp and a little bit of basic gray ink. So we'll ink this up. And I'm going to stamp this so I really get sort of the lower part of the roller coaster because I don't want it to extend off the top. So I'm just going to pull this a little closer to me. I'm sorry, you guys. But I need to line up that bottom edge of my stamp with the bottom edge of my DSP there. Okay, welcome, April. Glad you could join us. And there we go. All right, so let's go ahead and glue these panels on. So the roller coaster one is going to go on the bottom section. Come on, glue. Now, did you know when your glue is not flowing, instead of just shaking it like a ketchup bottle, if you just give it a little tap on your work surface, it will dislodge any glue that is kind of stubbornly not flowing, and it'll start flowing again. I mentioned that at a class I did a couple weeks ago, and everybody was like, you have to make sure you mention that in a live. So here I am mentioning it in a live. So that's my hot tip. Tap the tip of your Tombow on your piece that you are applying glue to, and you will get the glue flowing. All right. Okay. All right. Next, we are going to add our palm trees and our Ferris wheel. So let me dump all my bits out here. Come on, little guy. There we go. So our palm trees are going to go on our side panels here. I've cut them from the same DSP piece that this background is. Okay, it's that ombre multi-colored piece. And we're going to put a tall and a small palm tree on each side. So these literally need like 3 dabs of glue, like a 1, a 2, and a little bit behind the leaves. And that is all. And they fit just nicely on those little side panels. Can you tell I've got sticky fingers? There we go. And then a little bit on this little guy. And I always like to crisscross my palm trees. I think palm trees look better when they're in groups. So there is number 2. And then same thing on the other side. A little bit of glue. Let's put this guy kind of going this way. We're going to reverse it from what we did on the other side. And then this little guy. There we go. Give those a sec to set. Okay. And then for our Ferris wheel, it is going to get glued flush with the bottom edge of our DSP panel. Now, we have to take care that we only apply glue where it's going to overlap that bottom segment. We don't want to put glue up top or our easel won't stand up. So the easiest way to make sure that we only put glue where we want it is to flip it over. Okay, and basically I'm only applying glue below that fold line there. So I'm going to put little dibby dabs of glue in a few spots here to make sure my Ferris wheel doesn't fall off. And now we can flip it over and stick it down, confident that we have not got glue anywhere that we don't want it. Now, normally when I'm using foil, I like to use tape. However, these are such a small segments here. Real estate, not a lot of real estate. I sealed. That's the word I'm looking for. I certainly could have cut this from using adhesive sheets, but little dabs of glue, as long as you're careful, are okay. All right, so now we're going to work on our sentiment. So I have one of these little marquee signs, again, that I fussy cut from the DSP. And we are going to stamp happy birthday, again, in basic gray ink. Yes, the back side of the palms was DSP. It's the same pattern that this was. Okay, so I don't know if I have any more here. I'll show you. The back side of that is this. Okay, so it's this pattern that I cut them from, and it's this piece here. Okay, all right. Let me, again, ink my stamp, and we're going to stamp happy birthday. Now, I want to avoid this little diamond here because we're going to put some embellishments over top of that. So we've got our happy birthday, and then I've got a little set of fussy cut tickets. So we're going to adhere that to the end of our marquee here, just like that. And then I'm going to bring back another one of my puppy stickers. And we're going to adhere that over top of our tickets. Just like that. Okay. And then we're going to add some more ribbons. We're going to use the same kind of technique that we did on the last card. I'm going to add some seal to the back of my little marquee here. And this time I don't want to see my tails. So I'm going to start with my tail on the ticket. And I'm going to come around and make my figure eights. Now, the key to making this look good is to not let your ribbon twist. Okay. If you let it get all twisty, it looks a little bit messier. Now, if you're going for that look, no problemo. You can certainly have it look twisted and kind of a little bit more haphazard. For this look, I want it to look a little bit more organized and planned. So I've got my figure eights. I'm going to trim this off. Again, I don't want to see my tails. Okay. And then that is going to get adhered sort of to the center of my Ferris wheel. Now, again, I have to be careful where I'm putting my dimensionals. I'm going to apply this with, adhere this with dimensionals to make sure that I don't end up with them in places I don't want. So again, I'm going to flip my ticket over. I'm going to put my dimensionals where I know they are not going to go past the top of my fold here. And then again, we'll get rid of our backings. And we're going to pop this on just like that. Okay. And that way I don't have dimensionals showing at the back. All right. Now for the inside, we have a 3" by 4 1/8" panel. Okay. So that is going to fit in that little opening. And we are going to stamp, what did I do? Celebrate. So we'll stamp Celebrate in gray. And I want to stamp this a little bit towards the bottom or middle, a little bit below middle, because remember, we're going to have our easel standing here that's going to block a little bit of what we see there. And then I didn't bring my fresh Freesia ink over. You know what? Let's just stamp in yellow. That's okay. We're going to stamp our little diamond again. And a little bit of yellow, just like that. And then that is going to get glued inside our card here. I'm going to use liquid glue just so that I can wiggle it into place. And it just fits in there just perfectly. And I'm just lining up that bottom edge so it's got that same 1/16 of an inch border all the way across. And then our last touch is to add a couple more puffy stickers to catch our easel. So what did I use on this one? I used pink. I think we're going to use yellow on this one just because we have a yellow marquee on the front instead of the pink. So I'm going to grab 2 of these guys and hold my easel up approximately where I want it to go. So there's 1, and 1 is probably enough, but 2 is better. Oh, let's make sure that's going to be straight. A little bit higher. There we go. Oh, that's still not straight. Come on, you guys. There we go. Now we'll stand up. Just like that. Okay, now on the front, I'm not going to take the time to do all of these stars, but I wanted to show you a quick and easy way. So these gold shaker stars are on the last week's list. You get like a bajillion of these. They're great for shaker filler, but they're also great to use as individual embellishments. And they can be a really big pain in the neck to work with because they are so teeny tiny and they're staticky. So if you are trying to adhere them with your fingers, whoops, let's not make a mess, Lena. You're going to have a hard time. So what I like to do is take my liquid glue. I'm going to put very, very tiny little dabs of liquid glue on my card where I want my stars to go. Oh, I just lost the end of my take your pick. And then I'm just going to take and pick these guys up with the blue goo end of my take your pick. And you just kind of plunk them down and then don't touch them. I want a smaller one. Let's find an itty bitty one. There's an itty bitty one. Just like that. Okay. Once you get them placed, don't touch them. Give the glue time to set up, and then you won't end up with sticky fingers and you won't have them sticking to you and all of that. Okay. So you can see I did quite a few across the top of my sample. I'm not going to take the time to do all of that because it's like watching paint dry. But I just wanted to show you that little tip for using these little guys. And they, as I said, are on the last chance. You're going to want to grab them because they're super cute and you get a ton of them. All right, let me bring in all of our projects from today. So we've got 1, 2, and 3, and then I've got some more to share with you. All right, puppy stickers. I would be excited about puppy stickers too, Linda. All right, so here is that roller coaster stamp with the little car die. So this is the die that I am missing. I don't know where the heck it is. I'm going to have to do some investigating to find that one. But here I die cut actually 2 different colors. So I kind of got 2 tones similar to what I did with the matting. So I've got the yellow and the purple. So there's that one. Here's one from my launch and bingo event. Again, doing a little arrangement with the tickets. This is the one that I demonstrated during my live launch party with the Ferris wheel. This is the one I posted earlier today, Carousel. I think this would be a cute one for a little girl's birthday. And then, as you can see, the puffy sticker works on the inside, not puppy, puffy sticker works on the inside to kind of bring back what's on the front. And then one more fussy cut the Ferris wheel from the DSP, and then added a puffy, not puppy sticker with the balloons in the background. So there you go. Lots of ideas using the Beach Boardwalk suite from Stampin' Up. You like those? All right. I hope that warmed you up on this cold, miserable winter day. Thank you for joining me. Let me just check and see if there's any questions. I think I answered any that I saw. Let me see. Okay, not seeing any more questions. So I'm going to come back to me. And that was a quick one. I'm under 45 minutes today. Wow, that doesn't happen very often. All right, everybody, thank you for joining me. Yes, thank you, Lisa, for mentioning if you could give me a thumbs up or a like or a share. It does help me reach more stampers when you do that, because it helps expand my reach. So if you don't mind doing that, I would very much appreciate it. Thank you for joining me today. I will see you next week for another episode of Tuesday Live at 5. Bye for now.